Test out. Can you hear me? Cool. All right, so we're live. Hey everybody, thanks all so much for coming. This is Marketing X Live. This is the first interactive live stream events and marketing show. Yeah, can you just, there we go. Just turn that off, thank you. Little feedback. I'm here with my wife, Liz. And thank you, hello. And we've got a couple awesome guests here as well. We have our friends Jackie Zuck from Next On Scene. She's over on this side here. We'll probably be spinning over to her in a second. And then we have our friends from Tapple on the other side. And then we've got Laura and Brianna from Absolute 47, our featured venue. It is the coolest space in the world. We're going to basically take a tour of that space. But first, let's say hi to Jackie, and she'll tell us a little bit about what we're going to be talking about in her workshop. And then we'll go say hi to Tapple. But just to give you a quick overview, because I forgot this part, what is a show? And the show is basically an interactive live show where you as a attendee and you as a viewer are a part of the show in real time. So please engage with us online, ask us questions. If you're in the audience here live, then definitely be a part of that show and be interactive in any way you can. So it's a fun workshop kind of environment, pretty cool, pretty cash. And let's go say hi to our friend Jackie.
Hey, Luke.
Hey, Jackie.
Thanks for having me today.
Thanks so much.
So this is my crew over here, my mastermind ladies. So I am so excited to talk about the importance of social media and engagement and how to drive real, authentic audience to be long-term clients and customers.
Absolutely, thank you.
That's what I'll be talking about today.
Perfect. And then Jackie will be up first. So the flow of the show is going to be myself and Laura and Brianna are going to take a tour of Absolute 47. Then Jackie will be up next, and then we'll have our friends Tapple. And then basically go right to the nonprofit workshop with Liz and myself talking about our son's journey with Cure Jam for Liam. So our friends at Tapple.
All right.
This is Karen.
Thanks so much, Luke. I'm Karen Kelly. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Tapple, and I'm here with our co-founders, Dean Hansis and James Gray. And we are so excited today to talk about our platform. It's a real-world conversion platform, and it allows brands to connect with consumers on their mobile devices instantly. And so the whole idea is, how can we connect with consumers in a more experiential way, a higher touch way? And so we're going to be exploring all of that in our talk today.
Perfect.
Thanks
So much. Great. And then all right, so Laura and Brianna are going to tell us a little about Absolute 47 and take us on a tour. Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am Laura Seskovich with Absolute 47, and this is?
Brianna Valandry.
So Absolute 47 is actually a larger company, but the space that we're in today is our Work Fusion space. So as you can see, it's really colorful, it's really funky. Our company in general is just in the business of making really cool, funky spaces. This one's geared towards corporations. So we host a lot of corporate retreats here. We do any type of meeting that you would typically go to a conference or hotel space. There's only so much you can do with 4 gray walls, or if you have an air wall. we want our space to feel like a true retreat. So you step inside, this is in a very obscure location, so it has almost a speakeasy feel to it. The bright colors add a lot of different depth to your event, where we have all these different spaces you can break out into. We have these pods, which our group is enjoying today, so good for 1 to 2 people. We have different types of soft seating throughout the space, as well as presentation areas. So our spaces come compact with all the audio visuals you would need. We have all of the snacks, beverages, caffeine and sugar to keep your group going throughout the day. Wi-Fi, parking, everything you would need. So essentially we take care of you here, and we want to let companies know that we're here. We have multiple spaces just north of Boston. Would you want to see the rest of it?
Absolutely. We have our Apple folks set up in the boardroom. So we're gonna come back down to Jackie and friends. That'll be down here. But first, we're gonna see the rest of the space. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So we have our living room space over here, which we've kind of all been hanging out in right now. We have a massage chair, which I know Luke has personally tried out before. This looks a little bit different because we have a lot of cool equipment that Luke has brought in. So we'll kind of be exploring all this, but normally our space, we would have lots of areas for people to sit down, enjoy themselves throughout the space. Our kitchen over here.
That's right.
Is
You
this-
can pop in, but they won't be able to see you
Okay.
online.
So,
wave and say it's awesome.
We have a lot of colorful snacks and candy, coffee, tea, espresso, cold brew on tap, essentially a lot of things that you would want or need in a normal office space, or that companies are kind of used to these luxuries in their office. We want to make sure that they have it here as well.
Perfect.
Upstairs,
Check it out.
we have our early risers room. So this is actually where Tapple's going to be hanging out today. But this is kind of our fun spin on a boardroom. So we've removed that sort of heavy, clunky wooden table that you would normally find here that most, and I think we've all been in those meetings where
This is probably the next camera here.
you have your cell phones underneath the table, or maybe people are dozing off, but this space really allows for people to feel engaged and really break down those barriers of communication. So we have a Microsoft Surface Hub here. It's all touchscreen. Essentially, it's a really fancy tablet, but allows companies to kind of do away with that old projector and screen. Lots of outlets. We have 28 outlets actually in here with USB ports, so everyone can stay connected. And we also have blacklight whiteboards. I don't know if they can see from there.
Yeah, actually, yeah. We got that camera over here,
So
so.
just sort of a fun spin. That marker doesn't work very well. But essentially just giving people a fun squeaky option for audio visuals and for using presentation spaces up here. We have magnetic tiles, lots of things that people can play with their hands throughout the day. Just helps people's minds work in a different way.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. I should have actually had you have the microphone. I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
But I mean, this space, you get essentially 2,000 square feet of space to use for yourself. So while you're here with your team, you really get to use it as your own, or treat it as an extension of your own office or home. So we're not here overseeing your event. You can come in here for whatever the purpose is. And people love it. We give them kind of the keys to the castle for the day. They get their own personal access code and can come and go as they please.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Laura.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're going to move on to Jackie. Thank you, Laura. And this is just the coolest space ever. So Jackie's going to take it away for our marketing workshop.
Awesome. So excited to teach a little bit about social media engagement today. Thanks for having me. So I run Next on Scene Media. We're a full service marketing and media agency, and we help get your voice out to the masses. And we do it through social media consulting, events. I have a magazine that just launched out, a podcast, and we just have a lot of fun in my mastermind that my friends are here about. It's basically like a DIY program, which Luke and Matt were both a part of, and we talked about all these different areas of how to really build your business outside of what you know. So today I want to talk about social media engagement and the importance of how to get yourself out there outside of what you know. And I think the first key thing is, how are you showing up online? So if you are not posting consistently, even if it just means like once or twice a week, you know, you just want to be visible to your audience. And when I say visible to your audience, it doesn't mean stock photos. Like, you need to be in your content, because being in your content really translates to people that know you. People that know you are more enticed to engage in your picture than a stock photo because they really relate more personally to that. So that's the first thing to consider. I wanted to talk today about top 3 things. The second thing is once the content's up there, how often are you engaging in other people's content? So it's one thing to have your content up there, but when have the photo up there and you're not engaging in any content, meaning like not just liking a photo, but like leaving a comment and like doing things like that, as long as you're doing that consistently, that's what really helps grow your audience. So you want to spend about like a half an hour a day doing that on each platform. It sounds crazy, but like ideally if you want to start with like Instagram, maybe you want to start with Instagram, commenting and liking photos for a half an hour a day, you're really going to start seeing the translation of growth pretty fast. And it means not even just with your organic audience, but your audience outside of your organic audience, meaning like hashtags are such a key way to find people. So if let's say we're in Woburn right now, so you type in Woburn MA, and you basically would go in the hashtag and like 3 of the first person's photo and leave a comment. And if you do that with each profile in that vicinity, the translation of the local people in that area are going to come back to your profile and check you out. And if you do that for a half an hour a day, the growth is just massive of where you can really go with your branding. So that is the key with engagement to get really long-term good audience. And that's how you get new clients and good customers that last for a long time. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
So I think what we'll do next is I'll show you a couple different things that we have. Low-profile production gear, and we can bring it to our friends here, and we can basically kind of workshop for a little bit, and then we'll move on and talk with our friends at Tapple.
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay, I'll grab a couple things here.
All right, cool.
So we got a lot of folks here, a lot of friends. So I'll show you a couple things first. So behind me is a really cool gimbal. So this is basically, it's called the Movi FreeFly, and basically you attach your phone to it. Everyone has a smartphone for the most part. And then it's basically keeping that steady, so you can do your Facebook Lives, you can do any type of video with that. You can also attach accessories to it as well. And you can do some other neat things with attaching like different lenses. There's like little moment lenses you can clip in. I don't have all that set up right now, but it just brings your, what would be normally just an iPhone or a smartphone of some kind, brings that production level to the next, brings it to the next level. So there's also a bunch of little cool little lights and things that you can attach and put in your bag. This is an example of one. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah. So you got like little lights here. You can attach your phone to it. You could even do like a little Facebook Live if you wanted to from here. And you can add different effects to it and different lighting options. I thought those are really cool because my whole thing is that what can I grab in a backpack and go with? So if you've got your phone, which almost everybody brings with us everywhere we go, we have it when we're sleeping, we have it when we're awake. It's pretty much always within reach. What can we add to that without having to buy too many extra things? So a couple other things I wanted to show too. You've got this little guy here. This is pretty neat. This is called DJI Pocket. It's basically a gimbal that's separate from your phone, but it attaches to your phone. So if you want to hold that, you can move that around and record right there. And then if you wanted to, you could put your phone right in here and attach to it wirelessly as well, too.
That is so cool, huh?
Yeah. Keeps everything steady and smooth. If you're setting up things at home for production, you've got basic lights that are quick and easy, green screen that's collapsible. So we could actually kind of workshop and lab together and even do something where we wanted to sit down and do an interview together and just kind of use my stuff and however you want to kind of chat with each other and figure it out. There's lots of cool little lighting options, as I mentioned. This was a neat little camera that I purchased a while ago called a Mevo. It's a straight to Facebook or straight to YouTube Live camera, and you attach almost like a little mini production studio to it. I chased around Rob Gronkowski for the Buzz Off over at Gillette Stadium, and I basically purchased it like a week and a half before that, and it was really fun. It was neat because I basically was able to tap into the audio board from a professional audio person, so that gave me the crystal clear audio, and then this camera is able to, sorry, is that right? Move this way a little bit, yeah. Okay, and yeah, so I mean, I'd say just grab whatever you want to kind of lab a little bit. We won't use the drone right now, but there's also an Oculus headset as well, too. We can try that later. And kind of
cool.
workshop, yeah.
Where do you get all of these things?
I don't know, I bought them, B&H, Amazon,
Okay.
any camera store, really,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, a lot of different places, yeah, I definitely
Great.
have a lot of
Great.
packages
So
coming to the
you do
house too
podcasting
often.
Too, right? You can use some of the tools for podcasting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah, sorry, there's another one
Yeah.
here, too. That's the Zoom recorder. This is a neat one that basically allows you to grab your audio, and you can plug in from an XLR aspect to it. So you can grab all the microphones and use that. I don't think I have a memory card in there right now, but if you need the turn on switches on the side here, you're just trying to hold that down. A drone, yeah. So this guy is my new little toy. A week into it, I flew this into a tree. You know, that's just what you do. But that's a lot of fun, and we could do some cool shots with that. But
And then the video thing you were telling me about before, this is awesome.
Virtual, yeah. So this is
That
this
so
is the
cool.
Oculus Quest. So this is
Yeah.
the Facebook owns Oculus, and basically it's a full immersion virtual reality. So now you have the full body control as well. So you've got the hands, you've got the cameras on the outside of it that are going to map the room, so you can actually be a part of the interactivity of either a game or being at a event.
So where do you
And-
put the game, like where does it get stored?
It's either it's either streaming or it's basically loaded directly on there as well too. Yeah, it's some really neat stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Let's see. Then we got our cool little microphones. This is one of Matt's microphones here, little throwback style. And then we have a couple cameras going right now for the live stream. But maybe next thing is we'll go say hi to Tapple. That work out? Yeah. Cool. All right. So we're gonna move upstairs to the boardroom again. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, figure it out later. What was that say? Yeah. How's it going? All right. Oh, fun. I should have done. Oh, that's all right. No, I'll do it another time. Yeah. Mhm. Sure. Yeah, yeah. I'll take care of that. Yeah, thanks. Actually, I'm gonna hand this off to Karen. Here you are, Karen.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Gonna let everyone settle in here for the next 10 seconds, and then we'll get going. This is so exciting. I love being able to drive conversations like this. Yeah, they're making their way. Yes. Yeah, stay. Thank you. Welcome. Yeah, that's right. That's right. How did no one grab that before you? An awesome space. So cool. Perfect. All right. So I'm Karen. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Tapple, and we're here to talk a little bit about today about bridging your offline to online marketing strategy and driving deeper connections with consumers in the real world. So the biggest problem that all marketers are facing right now is the overstimulated consumer, right? We know that the average consumer sees over 10,000 messages a day. And we also know that the effective frequency rate, so that is the number of times someone has to see a brand before they make a move to make a purchase, is now over 30. It used to be 7. That was kind of the magic number that everybody knew. And it's now over 30 because we're just constantly being sort of deluged with information. If you think about like the perfect example is sort of walking into Stop and Shop and going into the hallway and trying to pick out laundry detergent, right? It used to be like all or Tide. You had 2 choices. Now there's like 15. So markets are just becoming more and more fragmented. And as a result, brands have to insert themselves more, and every brand is sort of making more noise. So that's what marketers have done. They've either increased the quantity of the ads or the quality of the ads. And our platform is built for marketers who want to increase the quality of their interactions with consumers in the real world. So, thinking about typical offline strategy, right? Something, an out-of-home ad on the side of a bus station, very hard to track, okay? It's highly sort of impersonal in terms of it's not taking into account the time of day, the weather. We have something for ice cream here, but like, you know, is it 9 a.m. or is it 90 degrees or is it snowing? It's sort of just, it's very sort of generic and very difficult to track in terms of its reach. A typical online strategy, so a web landing page or a Google survey, we know that these convert at approximately 2% across the board. And so these being sort of your typical ways to interact with consumers, neither one of them is particularly effective or trackable right now. And so what our platform does is allow brands to make that bridge. So take consumers from an offline person-to-person interaction, come on back, to an online interaction and allow us to continue that conversation online. So this was a really basic implementation of what our product is. And we're going to talk a little bit more about QR codes in a minute and the different transport mechanisms we use. But the idea is you have a consumer in front of you. You know something about them. So in this situation, Kavita was the beverage company. They were out at a pop-up event. And the idea was, all right, we know it's going to be the afternoon. We know people are going to be hot. We're in California. They're going to want something to drink. Why not offer them to try our product, give us some feedback on it, and then we'll give them a t-shirt or a bottle of their favorite, right? So there's a value exchange there, and that's extremely important in driving conversions, period. So what am I asking from the consumer, and then what am I going to give back for them in turn? And all of that's incredibly important. And so what we saw from this just one-day campaign was a 94% conversion rate. So what does that mean? That means that 94% of the people who came, tried the drink, scanned the code to give some feedback, actually submitted the form that was included in that. So in there was 3 or 4 questions about what they thought about the drink, and then also asked for personal information like email address or phone number. So what we have found is that people are just far more willing to provide personal information when there's a real world setting and when it's personally relevant to them. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the different ways to connect in real world settings to drive then online communication. There's 3 main ones that are used right now in general: NFC chips, QR codes, and geolocation. So when was the last time somebody in here saw a QR code before today? You saw one yesterday? Yeah, okay. How about you, Laura? Yeah, you see them all the time. Where did you see it? Oh, awesome. Okay, and what was it? Did you scan it, number one?
Well, no.
Okay, why not?
I'm not looking for people to market to me.
Yep. What were they, why did they did they give you a reason to scan?
No, it was on, one of the display boards.
Yep.
Passed by.
Yep.
There were a lot of vendors.
Yep, okay, yep, so it was just like a generic sort of messaging, something like that.
I don't know. I didn't scan it.
Yeah, right. And it wasn't clear from the outside really what they wanted you to do. It wasn't a giveaway, or there wasn't that value exchange. And I think that's the really important part whenever we're going to talk in a minute about like how to effectively use a QR code, no matter where you're getting your QR code from. There's a lot of ways to do it wrong. Just like any other kind of media, whether it's radio or TV, you can make a great ad and air it at the wrong time and it'll be a total flop, right? So we have to think carefully about how we integrate all of these things. Laura, where did you see your QR code?
Well, we use them personally.
At Absolute 47.
At Absolute 47, we have them on our business cards.
Awesome.
To highlight our different spaces, but I've seen them on ads for restaurants. You can scan, it'll pop up with all their locations.
Yep.
LinkedIn uses it. So
That's right.
You can have a virtual business card where you can connect with them via QR code. I
Yep.
use that a lot. I don't have my cards on me.
Yeah. And how many people, I guess, of the people whether you've seen a QR code recently or not, know that your camera and your phone can scan them? You know. Right. People are trying to. So raise your hand. Can you raise your hand if you already knew that your camera can scan a QR code? Okay, so it's roughly 50% of the room, which is great because I can guarantee you that about a year ago, really, probably would have been half of that. So we're seeing consumers' understanding and exposure to QR grow on a month-by-month basis. And the thing of it is, when we think about these different types of transport mechanisms, the reason why we're really kind of focused here and here right now, but mainly QR, is because Apple and Google are supporting these technologies. As we just talked about, your smartphone camera will scan these codes without any help. There's no app. It's frictionless. And that's really the concept that we're really driving through our platform to our brands. That's what we want to deliver. We don't want to force people to go through apps. We don't want any extra friction. And so because they are supporting these technologies and building the QR reader into the cameras, and now Apple was a little bit later to the game adding NFC chips to phones. Android started actually I think in 2012. It's really become something it's going to be ubiquitous in the next few years. So it's really exciting technology, and actually I'd love to demo a little bit for you guys now. So Dean, can you pass some of these out?
Absolutely.
One of the nice things about these technologies too is that they're They're very flexible, and you can be extremely creative with them. So what's being passed out right now is a coaster, something that we created for a fundraising event for Pete Frates. And the fundraiser was being held in a bar, and so the idea was, well, what naturally fits into a bar? Coasters. Where do people's cell phones sit in a bar? On the bar, facing down. So, yeah, that'd be great. So if you open the camera on your phone,
I will do here.
yeah, and you guys can do too. Open the camera on your phone and just point it at the code. You'll see a URL just pop at the top of the screen.
Or in my case, the bottom.
Right, if you're Android, the bottom, if your iPhone, the top. And so the idea here was, how do we really capture the feeling of this group, right, and the sentiment, and what is their intention? And their intention is to support Pete, support his family. And so, hey, let's deliver a personal message from him, a picture of him and his family, a note to everyone, and let's also help them drive fundraising. So we pre-populated a tweet in there so people could tweet live at him. Pete loved Twitter. So people could tweet live at him, and every time somebody tweeted, we donated another $1 towards the cause. So it's really, you can be so creative with these different transport mechanisms. It's really very limitless. So that's a nice example. NFC chips, as you saw, actually, Dean will show you here. This is an NFC chip. They're low-cost chips. They're waterproof. They're really cheap, like 10 cents a chip. And if you simply tap it on the back of your phone, now probably at least 50% of the people in this room don't have an NFC chip in your phone yet.
Maybe, maybe about 60% right now, but in a couple years, that should be much closer to 100%. So basically, it allows you to use something extremely low cost, like this little NFC sticker. And think of it as just a sticker. I happen to put it on this, but ultimately, I could just take the back of my phone, tap it, and as a result, it launches an event. In this case, our live feed right now, right? So instantly be able to deliver that experience. Sorry, maybe I should hold this. So ultimately, you're seeing that the whole idea of Tapple is connecting physical to digital. And there are multiple mechanisms that the largest technology players in the industry are now embracing because they see this as the future. We're not saying it's the future. Google and Apple is saying, we believe in this technology and that it will be the future of consumer engagement. So whether you're using NFC or QR code or even geolocation, the idea that I can take the same experience on Tapple and I can drop it at this physical location here and then direct you guys to a URL that then gives you access to access the experience instantly. The idea is instant access is the future, and there's no better time to deliver a message to the consumer than in real time when it matters to them.
Luke, just let me know how I'm doing on time here if we're going over. Could talk about this for days. So in thinking about how to use QR codes effectively for your business, it's really important that you have a nice, clear call to action. So again, focusing on, well, what is in it for the consumer? What is the value exchange that will happen if they engage with this code? And again, this is why conversion rates are so high when used properly, because people understand, okay, if I use my phone, I can access this instantly. There's instructions here, iPhone point camera here, Android scan it, get QR.io, and you're letting people know you don't need an app. And they're understanding that there's something in it for them. Well, why should I choose to engage? We need to give them a reason. In terms of the instructions, these are, we find, incredibly important in terms of driving conversion. So iPhone, as many of you just did, if you just open your camera and point it at the code, the URL launches. Android was a little later to the game, building in the reader into the camera, but it's probably something like 80% of all Android phones have it now. That being said, we actually built a QR reader into the web. So you still don't need an app if you are an Android user and your phone camera isn't reading it. Just go to getqr.io and you'll see your entire browser turn into effectively a camera. Which is a QR reader. So a nice clear call to action, really clear instructions, sizing, things like making sure the code's at least 1.2 inches on all sides, or even larger. And then also making sure there's contrast between the eyes and the dots and the background that it's on. So for instance, if I were to take this code and put it on a dark gray background, it probably wouldn't scan. That's how the codes are read. They need contrast between the code itself and the colors in the code and the background. So this is just a handful of big brands using QR that we've seen just since Thanksgiving. We see them all the time now because our brains are just there. So number one, Salvation Army is using both NFC and QR to drive digital donation options, which is pretty awesome to see. Pepsi is using it in a gamification sense, which we love. We know that games drive consumers to engage. So how it works, so you scan these QR codes and then you it's kind of like it's almost like a peel away contest. You match them and then you can either keep your gift or you can gift it to a friend. So there's a charitable aspect to it also, which is pretty cool. Here in the Thanksgiving Day Parade, you could scan the code right on the screen and then watch the live stream on your phone, which is pretty awesome, similar to what Dean just demoed, only through a QR code. And then here, Boston 10, some local news even, just open your phone camera. They do the instructions here so well. Open your phone's camera, hold it over the QR code, click on the notification, and you can live stream weather updates or school closings. This is on the day of the big storm a few weeks ago or a week or two ago. And then lastly, I saw this one recently on a Poland Spring bottle. It says, scan for the water journey. So this idea that you can tell stories beneath these codes too, right? So when you scan that, it's not just driving you to a generic website, it's telling you about the water in your bottle and where it's come from and things like that. So, so really interesting use cases here. The possibilities are really pretty limitless. And this was something that we ran, the Tapple team ran, about 2 weeks ago. We partnered with the Wellesley Square Merchants Association, and what we did was we gamified their holiday stroll. So how can we take a group of retailers and unite them so that we help them drive a fun, interactive game, get people in the stores, get people back into seeing the magic of having a person in a store that's going to help you. You can physically touch things. And so you would scan to register, where you provided your home address, your phone number, and your email address. And then you had to hunt down the QR snowflakes, the Tapple-powered QR snowflakes in 28 stores in order to qualify to win a $1,000 gift basket. That was the deal. And so what we saw was over the course of 5 hours, and this was the first time many of these people have ever scanned a QR code with their camera or scanned one at all. We saw 2,800 scans in 5 hours. Yeah, it was a tremendous success, and the retailers couldn't be more excited to then be able to market back to these people, right? Direct mail, email, right? They have keys to marketing that they never had before, and people were very, very willing to give them because of that value exchange. Okay, so now imagine using NFC, QR, or geolocation, you can actually drive intelligent messaging. So the idea being that a consumer in LA walks into CVS at 8 a.m., right? And scan here for deals. Well, they're intelligently shown deals about suntan lotion and Balance bars, breakfast bars, because it's 9 a.m. And while at the same time in Boston, someone walks into a CVS and you see deals on low sugar hot chocolate, extreme moisturizer, or expected snowfall for the evening. So this idea that what our product can do is now start to drive intelligent messaging around location, weather, demographics, even social trends can be used to drive the messaging that's behind these codes. So as you can see, we're not an NFC chip company, we're not a QR code company, we're not a geolocation company. We are a data company that drives intelligent messaging. We just use these as the transport mechanisms. So yeah, I mean, I could keep going, but I think there's more people that want to share the messages today. So
What we'll do next, and actually I'll kind of say hi to you too. I'll pause this guy. Oops. So many cameras going.
Yeah.
I think what we'll do next is, oops, sorry. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, that off. What we'll do next is we'll move downstairs and we'll actually put a lot into motion. So we've got something I wanted to do with this whole concept of Marketing X Live was always have a nonprofit spotlight. So whether that's a grassroots do-gooder or a nonprofit who needs a lot of exposure, we're all savvy marketers. We all can all help give someone a boost, and a lot of it is that inspiration and new ideas, and just doing a lot of that nonprofit do-goodery. It takes it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort, but ultimately it's so rewarding. So what we'll do in the first episode is actually focus on my son's story. It's Liam Ryan and my wife Liz. We'll be telling the Cure Jam for Liam's story. And we'll kind of head downstairs. We'll put some of these things into motion. And we've actually incorporated some of the Tapple QR codes so you can follow his journey. He's doing really well now, but we'll give you a little bit of the background as we all move downstairs. Is that all right? Cool.
Great.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's take a little walk. It's fun. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So we're actually going to be on this side, Liz, just because he told me the camera down here is, it's harder to, it flickers when we were sitting in the cubes. So we're going to be on this side of it. Sam, would you mind grabbing the book at least, Liam's book, and maybe like 2 or 3 things? Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, thank you. All right, cool. We cool down here? Oh, sorry.
Hi.
And, hello, hello. We'll give you a little bit of an overview of our journey in the last 2 years, and Liz can take that away.
So back early 2018, from January to March, Liam started showing very unusual signs. He was in preschool at the time. He was unable to get off the floor. He couldn't walk upstairs. And at the time, our daughter was already 1 year old, so we weren't sure if there was a phase he was going through or something was really wrong. We still have a great relationship with the preschool, and they really just kept an eye on how his behavior was changing, and it was rapid. So it started out in January where he got a common cold, and he had this red rash that was in the shape of a butterfly rash on his face, and he got very weird warts on his knuckles and his knees and his elbows, and then basically muscle atrophy. So at the very worst, he couldn't hold up his neck. He would sleep in between me and my husband, asking us to move his head for him. We really didn't know what was wrong. We kept on buying like more board games. We thought, okay, well, if you can't move, we'll just do everything on the couch. And we went through all the different doctors. I call it the ologies. So with the medical world, you just kind of have to try everything in one profession, and then when they say it's not this, they just kind of send you to the next. So knowing that it was kind of this weird rash, I took him to the local dermatologist. He was laid out on the floor, couldn't move, and they said, oh no, here's some like steroid cream, don't worry about it. So I knew that wasn't the right answer. I had booked an appointment with Boston Children's, but it was hard to get in. It was like a 3-month wait. At that time, I kept on just calling the pediatrician office over and over again. They have like 14 pediatricians in that office, so I got to see everybody. At one point, they said, "Oh no, go see a therapist. It's you guys. It's your fault." And I'm sure they didn't mean it was your fault, but I took it as that. And it was hard. It was a lot of tension in our house. But he was starting to atrophy, and finally, I was pretty angry, and I said, you know what, you guys aren't the only hospital. I can call every hospital in Boston. So I left this very desperate message for Tufts Floating Children's Hospital. I knew that because our cousin had her twins there, and it was a great experience. And it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I leave this desperate message, and I get a call back, and this wonderful woman said, I'll get you in on a Monday at 1 o'clock. At the time, and I still work for TD Ameritrade, I had an office downtown in Boston, and I brought Liam in his little pajamas. He wasn't walking, so he was 4 years old. He was going around in a stroller, so I bring him into the office. He was really happy, excited to be there, eating snacks at the end of my desk, and all of a sudden started coughing and yelling, "Mommy, I have blood in my throat," and yelling, saying, "Take me to the doctor." And he hated the doctor at this point because every time he went, they would draw blood because they didn't know what was wrong. So they'd run labs and run labs and run labs. And I didn't know what to do. So we're downtown Boston, PO Square. I pick him up. He's dry heaving into the trash bag, and I take him to my boss's office. I'm like, call an ambulance. Like, I'm going. And he hands me the phone, and I'm like totally nervous, and everything's going through my head. I'm almost crying. I pull it together, and I get on the phone with 911, and I'm like, meet me on the corner of Franklin and Congress. And they got us into the ambulance. And I remember being in the ambulance. Somehow I called Luke in between. And they're like, Boston Children's or Tufts. And I'm like, well, I got to be at Tufts for 1 o'clock for this the specialist that I've been trying to get. And they're like, well, don't go to Children's because we'll call another ambulance. So we get to Tufts, and that specialist was there. And it was like 10 minutes, and they diagnosed him with juvenile dermatomyositis, which is a 1 in 500,000 chance of getting, very rare. Mostly females are diagnosed more than males. And we had an idea of what that, we had an idea that was going to be the diagnosis, but I still in my head thought, all right, I'm going to get this diagnosis, and then I'm going to get 3 other opinions and make sure it's going to be really this. She's like, you're not leaving. You're staying. And we stayed for the whole week. And luckily, my sister-in-law had just moved in. I was like, Sam, pick up Olivia from daycare. And, you know, my mom came up and everything. He was, you know, on an IV the whole time. I took a picture of him, you know, when we first got there, and Luke had to figure out what to do with the cars and pack us up and everything. And, you know, it was just like this little limp body. And we were on the bone and marrow transplant floors, which is severe cancer patients, right? And they're all little kids. And he couldn't walk. And I remember by the 4th day, he was riding the tricycle around the nurse's desk, which is like what you see on television, you know? And you're like, wow, this is us. This is me right now. We took him home. Luckily, he started recovering, or at least started moving, but it was really high-dose steroids. He still is on low-dose chemo every week at home, and every 2 weeks we have a plasma infusion at Boston Children's Hospital. So it's been a long journey. It's almost coming up on 2 years, March 2020. He is doing great. He's at school, but it's a lot. It's a lot for a little kid. He's definitely matured a great deal. He's got to do, he's been granted a lot of wonderful things too. Besides making friends with another community, we got to go on a Make-A-Wish trip to Florida, so that was awesome. He's got to meet other celebrities. So, and he's very aware of juvenile dermatomyositis. He talks about it with his friends, and so it has brought some positive things to our family, but it certainly has been difficult.
So I'll transition this as best I can into marketing because the reason that I wanted to kind of tell our story first is that we put a lot of things into this. So we, I think it was like, day 2 of being in the hospital. It was like Liz was asleep. We basically were sleeping like 10 minutes a day, you know, at that time. And she was asleep at that time, and I was up next to Liam, and he's laying in bed, and I'm like, oh boy, you know, like, what do we do? You know, like I can't fight this thing. Like, I don't have like any medical degree, but what I do have is I have the ability to tell a story, and I can tell that story in a big way, and I can use marketing and media and basically get it out there to the world. So I remember that night I spent a lot of time thinking, what could I do if I had to market a disease that no one's ever heard of? And I thought about it. I'm like, okay, so what this disease is, it's a disease that attacks the healthy muscles, tissues, joints, ligaments, skin, and it never stops attacking it. And it's a wacky one. Only 1 in 500,000 children have it. Okay, so that's interesting and unique in a rare sense. So what else? Okay, so we've got, I remember I Google searched, like, you know, what are the odds of blank? And then there was being struck by lightning this year is the same odds as what this disease is, so 1 in 500,000. So I used that as kind of a cool hook. And then I, you know, thought about, okay, can we create a website? Can we use video? Can we use social media? And it's snowballed. We have a lot of great supporters, you know, a lot of folks that have really helped us out. We've even written a book, Liam's idea for a book that is amazing. So we're going to publish that pretty soon. It's called Monster Potion. And before he was sick, he wanted to always make a potion station. So he would ask us for different ingredients, raisins and, soda and, crackers and whatever. And he would have a little cookie tray and he would want to make a potion. And then I'm like, after a few times of doing that, I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm making a monster potion, Daddy. And I'm like, what's that? And he's like, well, all the kids know that you put a potion outside to keep the monsters away, and you can turn them into whatever you want. And that was like a totally original concept. So I thought that was so cool. And then at the time, my father moved in with us, and he's always been an amazing artist. So we got him an iPad Pro, and he started drawing. And literally, I'll pass this around, but this is the prototype for the book, but it's all done. So this is going to launch. All the proceeds are going to benefit Cure JM, which is the nonprofit that we support. And then we have our own brand, if you will, of Cure JM for Liam with the number 4 and a website. So Cure JM for Liam with little networking cards. He's the poster child for Boston Children's, one of the champions for change. And we're involved in a lot of things. Yeah, Extra Life, Bold to Cure. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
The first year we raised $55,000 with our bowling event at King's in Burlington.
Right,
Awesome. We had like 200 attendees. I think the second year, 35,000. So it's great. I mean, $35,000 pays for one study. And with orphan diseases, there's no money. Pharma's not pouring money into finding a cure. So it's really up to families like ours. With Luke's background, and I'm in sales as well, CureJMforLiam.com really is an amazing website. Thank you so much to, Justin and
Dynamic Beacon.
They've really helped us out with putting together all of our content in one place and all of our video. And so you do need that. You do need to have something that puts it all in one place to help us with our marketing. But it's been a great journey, and hopefully we do find some kind of breakthrough. Otherwise, you're stuck with these kind of not so great treatments, but at least they're helping him.
And if I can add one other thing, this is just what I learned from some of the community when we first basically became a part of it. So there was a rule of thirds, they said, and that was, they call it modern treatment. So I don't know if modern treatment was 10, 15 years ago or whatever it was, but in the past, unfortunately, because there was almost no treatment for it, a third of the children passed away, a third of the children were fully disabled, and a third of the children went into full remission and they didn't know why. Fast forward to what they call modern treatment, so maybe in the last 10, 15 years, and thank you to every family that's been before us, is a third of the children now will go into full remission within 2 to 3 years of treatment. Maybe 4 years, it depends on the child, and then a third go in and out of flares their whole life, which means the disease reemerges. So it's almost like he's allergic to the sun in some ways, where that will irritate the UV irritates and kicks in the immune system, so he's always got a hat on, always got sunblock on, all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't stop us from living a fairly normal life, I think. And he's doing really well with that, and he explains it to his friends. And then the other third are considered chronic, so there is still, I believe, a 1 in 20 mortality rate for it. We believe, and we just don't know, but we believe that we're in one of the better cases so far, which is great. But that'll be, hopefully, everything works out really well. And I think big picture, it'd be neat to kind of, as we all learned a little bit today with this cool, funky, wacky, interactive marketing show, putting some of our ideas to what we can do next. And moving forward with the show, I'd like to always highlight a grassroots do-gooder and just kind of bring that attention to them and those resources. So with that, maybe we just kind of open it up to the room and see if anyone's got any cool ideas of ways we can incorporate what we learned today and kind of bring us to the next level in what we're doing. Isn't that cool? Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Where can we get more information on Cure JM or make a donation?
Thank you. So our website links directly to the Cure JM website. We're not a nonprofit ourselves, so it goes directly to there. So if you go to either curejm.org and then you put the donation in Liam's name, that'll work just fine. But you can also do it through our website, and then you can see our story. So Cure JM for Liam with the number 4, and then I think you go to get involved, and it goes directly to the donate page. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. You know what I'll do? I'll repeat the question back just for the online audience as opposed to running the mic back and forth. That works out, yeah? Yeah? Yeah, please. So mission with that, and actually I've got, you meet so many cool people, and I'm taking a little step back here, of when you share your story, good comes back to you too. So Liam's also a patient advocate for Boston Children's. He's with Extra Life. Extra Life is a nonprofit where video gamers, streamers, donate their time and their energy, and they help raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. So Liam's a patient advocate for that. He met Gordon Hayward fairly recently, video gamed with him. It was just a really cool event. So the transition with that is basically that I met someone through that nonprofit who's one of the game streamers who introduced me to a friend who's helping me digitize that. So it's going to be on Amazon Kindle. It'll be on Amazon straight, like, print on demand. And the only really things I have left are I've written a lot of it, which is about the authors / the journey, the dedication page, and that's pretty much, I think, all I need left for it. And then we just want to make sure that the formatting is right, but it will be a digital version as well as a printable version as well too for the story.
We want to
So
build a community around it.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is making monster potions, and
yeah.
then kids can share their monster potions. So I did take the book into the preschool that now my daughter goes to, and we read it, and we have little bags that we give the kids that we made up with the swag, and they loved it. And we want them to share their own monster potion on whatever social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, and tag it. So there's a couple different things I want to add to that book, but I want to, of course, when I have the free time, I want to also build out all those social media platforms, launch the book, and then I want to make a kit so you can make monster potion.
Yeah, so you have
So all these things when we have time.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna get it done though. We always get everything done. So
We do, yeah. And it'll be like Liz's idea for that was to have a whole, so you have your book, and then inside, so the book maybe is bent, and it's inside a cauldron, and then you have a special wand that would be your stirring wand, and then you would add your imagination to it as a child, and you basically transform into whatever you want. So it would be neat to incorporate Facebook Live, Instagram Live, whatever that might be, as us at home making something, and then oh, hey, what are you doing? What are you making in Australia, California, wherever, and then have this be this whole community kind of groundswell of, do-goodery. Absolutely. No, I totally. Yeah, it totally. Yeah, absolutely. You could put it printed directly on, or with a sticker directly to the cauldron and to the book itself. Actually, maybe just a whole page in the book is dedicated just to that. Mm-hmm. That would make a lot of sense.
sponsor on it every dollar every time someone.
Yeah.
Really awesome. So good ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. No, it has a lot of that. Yeah. Age limit? No, there's no age limit. Absolutely not. Yeah, no. So we want everyone to be a part of it, and yeah, I don't know. I think this went really well. Everyone cool? Like that was fun? Yeah. Should we wrap the show? I don't know. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Great collaboration.
Yeah,
So
no doubt, right?
Maybe just mention how everyone can stay in contact. And
Great idea. Yeah.
Website and check out the awesome people that presented.
Yes. So let's do that. So marketingx.live is the URL for this. Right now it is pointing to YouTube, which is where we're streaming to right now. So that'll be a more robust website as we build it out. There's also Facebook, Instagram. It's all Marketing X Live. Tapple, of course. Next on Scene, of course. I think you saw them in the lower thirds. I'm pointing to the screen that you don't see online. And basically, that's where you would want to follow some of our key speakers today. Of course, Absolute 47. Huge thank you. Just such a cool space and such cool people. So, yeah, it's awesome. I don't think we have a date yet for show number 2, but the idea was to do this monthly. We'll put that together. We'll put that out in some social media posts. What we're going to do is, from a lot of the footage that we do today, we'll do a lot of different cut downs of that, and we'll all kind of share it and be part of the community together. Cool. I don't know. Anything else? What else? Should we just say goodbye to the?
Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays. We got our Christmas tree. Have some food. Yeah, there's plenty of food, so please hang out. We'll probably keep the stream going as we kind of shut down the show-ish. But I wanted to, in real time, also just ask everybody, like, what went well, what would be better for next time. I always think, like, especially when we do an event that has a live streaming, I've never done this type of thing before, but in the moment, like, what did you pick up on? What worked really well? What could have been a little bit better? What could have been smoother? Like, just a open dialogue for that would be really cool, because then we'll take that and we'll make the next one better every time. Yeah. So, yeah, that. Yes, yeah. So the plan was to have a local musician, so you can't have copyrighted music, otherwise your audio will get shut down on streams. So we were going to have a local musician that would kind of play softly throughout. Maybe it's someone with an upright bass or someone kind of cool and funky and jazzy and modern. That would be ideal. Maybe we partner up with like a Berkeley or something and feature new students. I think that's a really cool idea. We didn't do it for this show, but we were kind of in the works. It just didn't work out this time. There is some non-copyrighted music that we do for our intro, so we could play that for you and show that to you, because I know you didn't see that when we had it earlier when we started the show. Yeah.
There's three representations of today's event, right? There's us being here, and then there's the actual live stream.
Mm-hmm.
And then there will be, I believe, that you'll take all the video recorded from different sources.
Correct.
And you'll put something together that can be viewed after.
Yes, or even a bunch of pieces of short form content with one condensed, like best of. Yeah.
All I know is that from my perspective, I will come here every month or every 2 months or
Thank you.
however frequent you do this, right? I think what's really important and how everyone here can really help today is you think about there's this hub spoke principle that says that only 5% of people are actually promoters and the other 95% follow. And I look at an event like today as we represent the 5% for this initiative, which I absolutely love. It's a nice mix of everything, and your story, I think, is just, I want to say thank you for sharing it, and I'm excited to help in any way I can towards that. So the charitable aspect is great as well, but ultimately, I think we can really help you guys. We provide our feedback about the show, but I think we can really help you guys by all of us here today promoting for the next month. And I'm really excited about doing that. And so we should absolutely talk about a way to just reach out to everyone
Mm-hmm.
and get the right likes to the different manifestations on social networks and whatnot. Also, though, as far as contributing our perspective about it, and then when you're ready for the next event, we should all help to promote it.
Love that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Show flow. Do you like the idea of, if we used exactly the space, same format and everything, do you like the flow of how that, I think it was hopefully an hour, maybe a couple little ideas for the future, a time clock, maybe that I can just kind of look up at so we know where we are, where we would be. Yeah, definitely, that's a great idea. Yeah, like a whiteboard. And the other thing that we did have going earlier, but it definitely gave up on us, but that's okay, was just to have that, you'd see the live stream here, so you as a attendee would also know what was going on, but we wouldn't have the audio for that because that would kind of cause a conflict of the two audio signals. I'd also love, just thinking out loud, while this is the primary mic, it would have great, like an omnidirectional mic in the middle that this whole group would be able to, I think it's probably just catching mostly on me right now because this is the primary mic, but if we had another one or two around the room, that'd be great too.
Wouldn't that be too much noise? I don't know. I'm not a person.
I think that he controls the levels. Yeah, and also, geez, a huge shout out to Matt, who's like, geez. Yeah, like, come down. Yeah, this is like the mad scientist right here of
And it definitely was an experiment. We come at this from a very humble perspective of, we don't pretend to be network engineers and broadcast engineers. We're people who love marketing and want to create cool things and do that with awesome people. And you certainly are awesome people.
Yeah. And thank you, Evan. Evan, you rock up there, Evan. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Angelo, thank you very much. Oh, thank you, everybody. Yeah, everyone's amazing. So let's eat some food and hang out. And cool? Yeah. What do you think, Matt? Should we kind of just put this off? Yeah, I think we're good. Cool. Thank you.
go back through and cut everything, I'll make sure that there's real crystal clear directions on how to go see more of like your presentation or video about what you do while you're talking. You know?
That's great. If there's a nice soft transition, I didn't know. I was thinking about it. I was like, he's done filming in front of screens. Like, I know what a disaster that can be, you know? So,
And it's actually a really solid mic choice because it doesn't have to be powered. It's just got a little diaphragm in there. This is the Elvis Presley mic, the SH55. Almost.
like, somehow, it still even works in this room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though this room is sort of
And I could get sound from this, but if you were right here, you sounded crystal clear and natural. But if it was the room ambience I was going for, it was like so much white noise. What I really wanted to use, what I need to set up is the Yeti. The Yeti that you always hear about that's powered USB. I got the Pro one that has XLR as well, but I didn't want to power it down here.
well, it felt like everything went, like,
The show looked good too, believe it or not.
did, yeah.
Other than the constant little annoyances that will be obvious when you see the cameras and the thing, for the most part, like the audio was super crystal clear, which is number one
that's
for me.
like, of course it is.
Number one.
That ruins everything.
Yep. And some of the times that I cut, like just from an aesthetic point of view, like while the conversation was happening, you cut to the full room from that camera where it is now, and you catch people talking on the couch or finishing a comment, and then cut back to Luke talking. It had a good feel to it.
That's so great. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be cool to see the live stream as is, and then just to learn from it, but then also to have that finish. We got a ton of stuff to figure out.
Yeah. Right. In your off hours.
And we could add into little mini commercials, you know, some little short things like here's a quick little. That's the beauty of post. Yeah.
Really?
Dean's good. He's all set for a while now.
Irene was like,
Oh, shoot. Got your hand up there.
only I could like work on something like that.
If only I had like a hand truck, I could just take it with me when I leave and take that home. I can play Red Dead Redemption with that for 5 minutes.
Good.